Hi people, Marino Ravenberg here again. I'm gonna do another story time video again, and this one has no header. I just wanted to share something with you guys. Like I told you guys a while ago, or I'm not sure if I told you, but in case I didn't, simply here goes, or here simply goes. I managed to find a collector's item of a local magazine's editions. Only one. I only took one for the purposes of simply storing it. I'm gonna add it to my collection of occult books on through paranormal events that took place. The reason I like them so much in the tradition of story time, you guys know that I share a local story from my current country of residence, Suriname, and what I find so interesting is the fact that these paranormal events are pretty much unique in nature. They're at the very least very, very rare, as in it's not something you come across every day. Just a common haunting doesn't interest me, to be honest. I mean, it does interest me if you can tell me, but I mean, it's common. For example, you saw a spirit, someone saw a spirit, this and that, a house is haunted. Now, I care about the nature of the haunting primarily, and since I am from here, so to speak, I am familiar with unique kind of hauntings. I've heard and read plenty of stories that I know are true of things that, paranormal phenomena that is unique, things that you don't really come across in the world anymore, so unique by a global nature. So I managed to track down a book, I managed to track down a really old edition of a magazine which used to contain a lot of stories, okay? The name of the magazine is Intimate, and the edition that I found dates back to roughly estimated the 1980s. This was even before I was born, like 50 years ago. Now it is, no, I'm sorry, now it's like 30 years ago. Yeah, I'm 34 now, so it was even before I was born, so past 35 years even. In any case, this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like. Here in Dutch, it's written intiem. Intiem is the Dutch phrase for intimate. I-N-T-I-E-M. That means intimate in Dutch. And I'm just gonna read a couple of short stories out of this for you guys. That's not gonna be long at all. It's like 5 minutes or something. Okay, I like to get straight down to it, and I'm gonna strip away baggage the way I'm used to doing. But believe me, you'll still enjoy these stories, I think, at least to a moderate extent. And I'll obviously be giving feedback too. Hold on. Yeah, let's start with the first story. A strange delivery. What I'm going to talk about this right now is the absolute truth. People that read this story will not want to believe it, but it really did happen. It seems highly unlikely, but the reality sticks on all sides in this story. I'll just tell it the way it happened. A cousin of mine from my father's side called Hannah, she became pregnant short after the death of her grandfather. Hannah had just turned 19 when she had discovered that she had gotten pregnant. As far as I was familiar with the case, she never had a boyfriend. As far as I know, she had never had a boyfriend, so it was also a surprise to me that she was expecting from an unknown man, it would seem. During her pregnancy, Hannah got a lot of strange dreams that were difficult to pin down and explain. She was also visited from a shadow-like figure of a man in her sleep that made love to her in a brutal way, she told me. The next morning, she was usually completely wet down there, like she had actual sex with a man. When I discovered that her stomach kept getting bigger, I tried to pry information loose from her. I interrogated her, so to speak, but she wouldn't budge. She did not relent, and she didn't want to let any information loose. After a while, when her due date neared, that's when the problem started. She got mood swings and acted really weird and displayed erratic behavior, things that she was not used to doing at all. She didn't have any parents anymore, so I was burdened with helping her. I consulted a physician and he directed me to a gynecologist. Okay, everything was researched, and it turned out that everything was fine with her, and I stopped worrying. The gynecologist said that her pregnancy was normal, etc., and things should just take the natural course. I was a bit disappointed though that there was nothing special to be notified about. A week before, in any case, life went on. A week before her due date, a strange occurrence occurred inside the house. While we were watching television, a weird bird flew through a window inside the house and landed on Hannah's stomach. Moments later, the animal lay dead on the floor with its neck twisted completely. No one had touched the bird. My husband found it normal. He picked up the dead bird and threw it back out the window. When we went later outside, there was no dead bird on the yard, strangely or oddly enough. Exactly a week later, around the same time when the dead bird flew inside the house, Hannah started getting immense contractions to the point where she screamed in pain. While she was in the hospital, she was assisted, of course, by nurses and related and medical staff. But unfortunately, her pregnancy was a complete failure. She gave, listen closely, she gave birth to a thing, not a human being. The eyes of whatever she gave birth to looked like that of a cat's, and the toes were not normal. There were no, the creature that she gave birth to had no arms. Oh dear God, if I think about it, I get cold chills down my spine. Right after she gave birth, she suffered from internal bleeding, extensive levels of internal bleeding. She mumbled something unexplainable and then died in my arms right there. Yeah, like I said, something like this really interests me because it's not something that you come across. It's not something that you come across too often. In any case, if I analyze this, the so-called briefly analyze this story, it basically refers to a woman that almost has some kind of Virgin Mary kind of situation, or a Virgin Mary kind of pregnancy, in the sense that she has never had sex or intercourse with a man, she's never had a boyfriend, and yet she still got pregnant. But the reason she got pregnant is obviously due to that shadow-like figure that kept visiting her and then practically raped her, honestly. That also explains why she was wet down there. Her vagina was wet, like she actually had sex in physical reality. And yeah, as a result, she basically became pregnant of us. This is simply a case where a woman got pregnant from a spirit, a very rare case, and you can see why something like this is very interesting to the point where I want to preserve this story. Okay, this is one of the stories in the magazine, and yeah, that magazine used to have a lot of stories like these, especially in the 80s. Stuff like this used to happen a lot. Now it's due to the fact that you don't have paranormal phenomena really anymore, unless you really go outside the city, places where no one goes. The thing is too, like I've mentioned in previous videos, is that spirits are nocturnal and they also prefer peace and quiet and tranquility like most people want. They don't want stress and congestion. And the city, with the rise of electricity and everything, streets are, filled with artificial lighting, street lighting and everything. There's light everywhere almost. Every building has artificial lighting at night, and it pretty much wears off, especially nocturnal malevolent entities that used to roam the streets. Stuff like this still happens, but on a severely reduced level on air bases. And this is the case globally. So yeah, and in the end, the woman ended up giving birth to a creature that wasn't a human being, which is normal because the person that visited her, or the creature that used to rape her, if you will, was not human, of course. It wasn't the spirit of a deceased person, based on what I can tell. So this is anything but a surprise. But yeah, very, very unique nevertheless, and I still love the story. And the omen, the bird with its neck twisted, also being an omen, speaks for itself. And if people are wondering why the bird felt attracted to that woman's stomach and went to land exactly there, as far as I can tell, it was a normal bird, but it simply felt attracted to the occult activity, the same way that a moth is attracted to a flame, which ultimately means it's dead. Usually, you don't hear animals displaying this kind of behavior because animals also are more aware and have, generally speaking, better clairvoyant ability or abilities than people in some aspect, the mundane person, thereby not being able to see when a location is haunted and know that, hey, I'm not supposed to go there, otherwise I'm gonna die. But yeah, this bird felt attracted to the activity. That's why it landed exactly on Hannah's stomach, and the unborn fetus pretty much killed that bird in one go. That's why its neck was twisted. In any case, good stuff, good stuff. Let me see. Like I said, this video is going to be short. This might be the last story time I do. Nothing else comes to mind really. And for the rest, of just I'm gonna close off with another interesting story. Hold on for a second. Come on, man. Alright. Yeah, something that something that will sound a bit weird, but still true nevertheless. A snake out of my vagina. My story is highly unlikely to be believed by a lot of people. A lot of people will think I'm lying, but it's my own personal experience. How it started: after the death of my mother, we as siblings were confronted with several problems. As the eldest at home, I had taken the care of my siblings had fallen upon me, while my younger brother managed to hustle left and right and also helped with the financial situation at home to keep our heads afloat and above water. His name was Hesdy, and it was found necessary that he left the school earlier so that he became a dropout because I did not make enough money in order to take care of the rest. We didn't have a father. The man that we called Dad, he was alien to us. He didn't even, we doubted the fact that he even knew of our existence. After he had enough of her, of my mother, he simply threw her out of the house. Thank goodness our grandmother was still there that actually took care of us. After that, my mother never took another man in her life. She never dated again. My grandmother always prohibited that because she was of the opinion that her daughter was not supposed to take unnecessary risks with men. So it was better to be alone or to stay alone. But when my grandmother died, my mother had taken another man that honestly only liked my mother's body, so was only fond of her for sexual reasons rather than actual love. Things did not go as she had imagined, and she stayed without a man to the point of her death. And now here it comes. Now that my mother is dead, I experience strange things that I have ever experienced in my life. Exactly 6 weeks after her death, so a month and a half, started the problems occurred. Never in my life have I experienced stuff like this. It was very heart-wrenching. As far as I can remember, my mother has always occupied herself with occult activity. I mean that she was often present during local rituals in the neighborhood, and she did this, she did that. I still remember that she often said that she had a male guardian spirit. I never occupied myself with the occult because I was of the opinion that if you start with stuff of such a nature, a dangerous nature, you'll never stop to the point where you're dead. Sometimes these things or these entities occupy themselves with you even if you do not seek them out actively. That's how magic in general works as far as I have observed. To keep a long story short, it comes down to the point that that I've inherited that that male guardian spirit of my mother's side. That's something that's been told to me, and I'm assuming that that is the case. If I did not have the personal experience, then I had just ignored it. But I'll never forget what happened to me. I still remember it was a late Monday afternoon when I was lying on the floor, just out of convenience's sake. To just reiterate, okay, people back in the day, people instead of laying on a bed or something like that, people had a tendency to lay on the floor. I still remember that when I was a child. Just out of convenience sake, it was some kind of weird custom, if you will. It wasn't long that I was done with work and I wanted to get a nap before taking a shower. I barely lay a couple of minutes on the floor when I felt something in my bikini. I felt something move in my underwear. Okay, that thing kept moving up and down, and to the point where it bothered me so much that I, somewhat fearful or frightful, pulled down my underwear. I was completely terrified what I saw. A snake of 40 centimeters crawled out of my vagina, through my legs, and onto the floor. Oh dear God, when I still think about it, I get chills all running down my spine, and I get it completely cold. It was very grim, and I ran in the other room and called my sisters to come see what was happening, okay? But to my amazement, the snake was gone. We literally turned the entire house upside down, but the snake was never to be found. I decided to tell to tell a neighbor, a really old neighbor of 81 years old, a grandmother that I could confide in. And she managed to tell me that I was simply burdened by a male guardian spirit. And I asked her what that was exactly, and she was knowledgeable, since she was knowledgeable on the subject, she told me what a male guardian spirit is and how he manifests. I was afraid but curious at the same time, and I wanted to know everything into detail. I wanted to know everything in detail. After I was correctly informed, I went to a local shaman who managed to tell me that that I had inherited the guardian male spirit of my mother, and that this one was pissed off, so he was angry, he was discontent due to me not taking care of it. So basically due to neglectfulness. I was supposed to take a ritual bath, and I was supposed to appease him. If I did not do this, then he'd manifest himself again. I was afraid of all of this. All of this stuff creeped the hell out of me, and I just decided just for my own sake, to do everything. And after I had taken several ritual baths and I had appeased this spirit, things went very well with me. I found different jobs and I make a lot of money now. I won the local lottery twice, the first prize. I won the first prize in the lottery twice. And in a dream, this male guardian spirit told me that he'll grant me wealth and children. I currently have a son that's 2 years old, and I'm doing very well for myself financially. And yeah, that's how the story ends. Those are the only two stories that that are unique in nature. There are more stories, but those are more common hauntings, and would be a waste of time to talk about it, to be honest. With the second story, it's pretty much self-explanatory, viewers. The second story speaks for itself. I don't have to say anything. Woman is simply burdened by a guardian spirit, and usually some occult influences can also be hereditary. This story is a testament to that. And keep in mind, these are all true stories. All of this is documented, by back then a reputable, the publishing company was a reputable source. Not that they aren't anymore, but they're still reputable, but they barely print anything worth reading anymore. So yeah, they've experienced one hell of a fall from grace. But truth be told, I can't blame them too, because stuff like this barely happens, alongside the fact that nowadays people only seem to care about making money, and people just find occult phenomena a waste of time. But people took it a lot more seriously back in the day. So yeah, this is self-explanatory, okay? Like I said, I know this for a fact too, that occult phenomena can be hereditary. So occultism can be hereditary. For example, if I were to have children, it's very likely that my children would be approached by one of the spirits that I work with, or one of the, or something along those lines, or that there would be some kind of transfer of energy where necessary or similar. Of course, that's not the way I work, so it wouldn't be in a negative way or such an intense way like this woman experienced. But again, I do Western ceremonial. This is pagan magic. And that's entirely different. The cookie crumbles differently, so to speak. And the general rule of thumb is when it comes to non-Christian forms of magic, that as the saying goes, the son shall inherit the sins of the father. So yeah, that is generally speaking the case. So if you die and you are unable to basically atone for things that you did, so karma isn't able to work itself out in the physical world, then the energy in general will transfer on through your offspring, if you have any, or a nearest relative or similar, in the form of a curse with all the misfortunes that accompany it. So yeah, that's the case for this woman. Her mother practiced pagan witchcraft extensively. Based on the story, the woman is black, and there is a local version of a pagan magic that Negroes practice. It's called Winti, Winti. In the unofficial language of natives here, it stands for becoming possessed. Literally translated, it would mean wind, but no. In this context, I don't think that's the case. It simply refers to being ridden, as in being possessed. It's similar to voodoo. It's similar to traditional African religions. Okay, people know what I'm talking about. Since the black people, primarily locally, most of them are the descendants of slaves that during colonial times were brought over from West Africa, the coast of Ghana. Yeah, off the coast of Ghana. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And yeah, her mother was someone that practiced this kind of witchcraft devoutly, as she said. For her, it was more like a hobby, something that she did on a regular basis in her direct vicinity. And as a result, since her mother died, that spirit automatically transferred over through to her. It's usually a deal breaker for these spirits when you neglect them. A spirit that's used to, it's like a dog, so to speak, that is used to getting food from you, is used to getting care and proper treatment and nourishment and all. And then all of a sudden the animal gets discarded. And yeah, there is going to be a change. That animal either won't come near you anymore, but that animal is going to display different behavior. It's going to act out in some way, shape, or form. And it's the same thing usually when you have familiars or you have guardian spirits, like in this case, or as in this case, then yeah. If they act up, they can act up if you do not, if all of a sudden the person that took care of them, quote unquote, took care of them, does not do so anymore or passes away, you name it. And in this case, it was hereditary, so the manifestation was simply a result of, it was a cry for attention from that spirit, as in, hey, appease me. Your mother appeased me, and since you're the next of kin, you're pretty much the closest next of kin, then I'm going to manifest near you in an attempt to get your attention, as in take care of me, feed me, do this, do that. And you heard what the result is, okay? As a result of taking those ritual baths and following the correct instructions, things actually ended up well for her. On the one hand, I am happy for the woman. On the other hand, yeah, I'm neutral towards the topic. It's something that she had to it's something that she had to discuss with her mother. But then again, customs were different back then, Back then, you had basic rules that seem so ridiculously archaic nowadays, as in, you're not supposed to talk back to your elders. You're not supposed to ask them anything. The second you did that, for example, in like the 50s or so, you were automatically seen as a disrespectful child, a disobedient child. It was more some kind of slave mentality. Your elders expected you to be completely subservient to them and have no opinion of your own and to just do what you were told without questions asked. The very notion of it is offensive to me, but yeah. Yeah, that is it in any case. Yeah, that's all. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Bye.